What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my NFL top fives for week 8 on DraftKings. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. Let me know in the comment section who are some of your favorite and least favorite plays for this week. And finally, shout out to Jock Market for being the presenting sponsor of this video. Use the promo code Awesemo when signing up. Get a 100% instant match deposit bonus of up to $50. You guys can see the defense is on the screen. Washington football team at the top of the heap. But what we really care about will be the tight ends, the wide receivers, the running backs, and the quarterbacks. And now it is time to dive in. We started off number 5 at tight end, Tyler Higbee, only 4,500, projected for 10.8 fantasy points. Great matchup in Houston, 15.5 point favorites for the Rams, 47 point total. It's the number 10 offense at PFF against the number 30 defense. It's not a big score you're hoping for out of Higbee, but you're hoping for the value. 11% likelihood Higbee is in the optimal lineup. Looks great as a part of Rams stacks. Next up at number 4, we've got another value option. That would be Ricky Seals-Jones, 3,800, projected for 9.7 fantasy points. The football team is in Denver, 3-point dogs, 44.5 point total. The number 21 offense against the number 19 defense. And much like Higbee, you go to Ricky Seals-Jones if you need to save some salary. Cross your fingers for a touchdown. 12% likelihood that Ricky Seals-Jones is in the optimal lineup on DraftKings. At number 3, we go to $4,700 Dallas Goedert, projected for 12 fantasy points. Amazing matchup here. Philly, 3.5 point favorites in Detroit, 48 point total, which is really nice. It's a middle of the pack Philly offense, but no more Zach Ertz, and the worst defense in football per PFF. 12% chance, though, for Dallas Goedert to be in the optimal. You're going to see Jalen Hurts ranked pretty highly as we move forward. Happy to take him and happy to take Goedert and play them together. Now at number 2, we actually have a tie at the top spot, and we're going value here big time. $2,800 Dan Arnold, projected for 8 fantasy points. Jacksonville, 3.5 point dogs with a 44 point total in Seattle. This is a bad Jags offense, 28th at PFF. Not that great of a Seattle defense either. Look, it's a full-on punt play. $2,800 for Dan Arnold. Super duper savings forward for you. Like at $2,800, really, you're not looking for all that much, and you don't need much. 16% of the time, Dan Arnold is in an optimal lineup. He looks great. He's just tied at the top. And that's because Jared Cook is also incredibly cheap. $3,400, projected for 9.3 fantasy points. The Chargers take on New England. They're the middle of the pack offense, 15th, against the number 26 defense. Really nice spot, plus the 49.5 point total. The theme of tight end this Sunday is pay down and get lucky. Look at the overlap at wide receiver. 4 guys tied at 17%. The top 3 guys all tied at 20%. So best of luck sorting through it, but these are my 5s after the tiebreakers. Keenan Allen is in 5th, 6,500, projected for 17.5 fantasy points. 4-point favorites against New England. This is the same matchup we were just talking about. Keenan Allen's going to break out at some point in time. 5% chance to go for more than 30. 17% likelihood to be in the optimal. He got into the top 5. Who's joining him there, but who's sneaking in a little bit ahead of him at number 4? That would be $6,400 Chris Godwin, projected for 17.7 fantasy points. He's in a pretty decent spot, sort of. It's the number 1 offense, and you're playing in New Orleans, so you're on turf. No weather concerns. 4.5 point favorites, 49 point total. All of that's good. But the Saints defense is also good. This is the number 6 defense. Godwin goes for more than 30. 3% of the time. Percent was a hard word. 17% likely to be in the optimal. Whether it's Godwin, Allen, Brandon Cooks, Jacoby Myers, they all look pretty similar, but Godwin is at the top. Now we're into the 3-way tie at the top of wide receiver. 5,200 for T. Higgins, projected for almost 15 fantasy points. Cincinnati taking on the New York Jets in New York. 10.5 point favorites there. 43 point total. This is a middle-of-the-pack offense, number 14, against, honestly, the Jets' defense isn't as bad as it seems. They do rank 20th at PFF, but Higgins, just a really nice value at that price tag, especially given this matchup. 0.4% chance to go for more than 30. You're going here for value. 20% likelihood that T. Higgins can get himself into an optimal lineup. Very cost-efficient, pairs well with Burrow. Next up at number 2, we've got $6,600 Calvin Ridley. He's projected for 18 fantasy points. Atlanta taking on Carolina. 3-point favorites, 46 point total. The number 8 offense against the number 23 defense. All of those things are positive marks for Calvin Ridley. Plus, he's Calvin Ridley. So 6% likelihood that he goes for more than 30 fantasy points. And another 20% chance that he is in the optimal lineup. Similar to T. Higgins, but a bigger ceiling, at least in my eyes. I'm happy to get the Ridley. He's just shy of number 1. Too big of a ceiling here for it to be anybody else. 9K Cooper Kupp is in at the 1 spot, projected for almost 25 fantasy points. The dream matchup against the terrible, terrible Houston Texans. 15-point favorites for the Rams. You expect some scoring. Cooper Kupp scores more than 30 fantasy points 30% of the time. That's nuts in this spot. You also get him in the optimal lineup 20% of the time. The salary's massive. You're going to need some savings elsewhere, like those tight ends, for instance. But for right now, the biggest ceiling on the slate at wideout is Cooper Kupp. Next up at number 5, running back edition, Eli Mitchell, 5,400. And just to be clear, Eli Mitchell looks exactly like the number 2 guy or the number 3 guy or the number 4 guy. We do have major separation at the top, though. So 14.5 fantasy points for Eli Mitchell. San Francisco is in Chicago, 4-point favorites, 39.5 point total. So I guess that makes you want to get to running backs a little bit more. Number 23 offense against the number 25 defense. This is just ugly across the board. 15% likelihood for Mitchell to be in the optimal lineup, though. That's what you're looking for. At number 4, we go to Carolina, 6K Chuba Hubbard. He's projected for 16 fantasy points. Carolina, 3-point dogs, 46.5 point total. But a very interesting spot in Atlanta, so you get to play on turf. 29th ranked offense, not ideal, but also the number 29 ranked defense. So there is some upside for Hubbard. 2% chance to go for more than 30. You'd like to see that be a little bit higher, but he's just not totally that kind of guy. 15% chance to be optimal, though. I think whether you're going to Mitchell or Hubbard, both guys look really good in those Cooper Kupp lineups because you're saving so much salary. At number 3, we go to Cordarrelle Patterson, 6,200, projected for 16.5. We're on the opposite side of Hubbard here. 3-point favorites for Atlanta. Now, we do get a more talented offense going up against a not all that great Panthers D. Same sort of scenario for Hubbard, though. Patterson's got a 2% chance to go for more than 30 and a 16% likelihood to be in the optimal. It's difficult for me to separate both guys. You might even want to just have both of them. I don't think that's all that crazy given the total for this game. I'm happy to do it. I think both guys work as run back options if you're stacking up the game. We go to number 2, $7,100 DeAndre Swift, projected for 19 fantasy points, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. 3.5-point dogs, 48-point total. Detroit's defense is not very good, but, Swift is going to be involved throughout the entire game. Number 26 offense, going up against the number 13 defense, so not the best matchup in the world, but it's not the worst either. Swift can go for more than 30 fantasy points 7% of the time. He's in the optimal lineup 16% of the time. All of the guys that we've talked about look pretty good, but no one looks as good as my number 1 contender here. No surprises at all. Darrell Henderson is in at number 1, 6,500, projected for 19 fantasy points. 2 touchdown favorites in Houston. Bad defense, 7% chance to go for more than 30, 24% likelihood to be in the optimal. There's just so much scoring expected for the Rams, whether you're going to Cooper Kupp or whether you're going to Woods or Higbee. No matter what you touch, they're probably good plays coming out of the Rams team, and Darrell Henderson is no different, separated from the pack at running back. Now, before we get to the quarterbacks, one last reminder to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Please head over to Twitter and follow me at Josh Engleman, and let me know in the comment section of this video who some of your favorite and least favorite plays are for Week 8. And finally, go to check out Jock Market and use that promo code Awesemo to get up to $50 on your first deposit. We do have very obvious number 1s and number 2s here, but at number 5, tied for that 3rd spot, though, Jared Goff, 5,200. So you're getting the value, projected for 18. Lions are taking on the Eagles. It's a decent matchup fantasy-wise. 48-point total looks pretty good here, but just a 7% likelihood for Jared Goff to be in the optimal. It's hard for me to want to target any individual quarterback. I like some certain stacks, but if we're looking at just individual quarterbacks, guys you're more likely to roster in cash, I honestly only see like 2 options. We're not there yet. However, number 4, Carson Wentz, 5,700, projected for 19.5. Indy taking on a Tennessee team that ranks 22nd defensively at PFF, 51-point total, so expect some scoring. But all things considered, there are better options at the top. Carson Wentz, though, looking pretty good, 7% likelihood to be in the optimal. Tied for 3rd, Final guy tied for third, but a much bigger ceiling, $7,300 Justin Herbert, projected for 23. We talked about Keenan Allen earlier. 4-point favorites, 49-point total. Middle of the pack offense, which I just assumed was better, but this is a bad New England D. Herbert can go for more than 37% of the time. In those cases, you're going to really want him, and you're going to want his pass catchers. 7% likelihood to be in the optimal individually. Now, we're getting into the two best quarterback options of the slate. The first one is Josh Allen. He's 8,100, projected for almost 27 fantasy points. Buffalo, 2 touchdown favorites with a 48-point total against Miami. The number 6 offense against the number 24 defense. And some rushing upside. 26% chance Josh Allen scores more than 30 fantasy points. You're going to want that at 8,100. 11% likelihood to be in the optimal. I like Josh Allen a lot. I'd be happy to get to him and get to him pretty frequently, given his immense ceiling. But he's not as efficient as my number one guy. That would be Jalen Hurts, 7,200, projected for 25 fantasy points. The best matchup you're going to find, 48-point game total, the worst defense in football in the Detroit Lions. You still get some ceiling, 18% chance to go for more than 30, plus an 18% chance to be in the optimal. If you could only roster one quarterback, Jalen Hurts would be your guy. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my NFL top 5s on DraftKings for week 8. Now, there's a FanDuel version of this video around here somewhere, so make sure you check it out. Good luck this Sunday. Win some money. I will be back Sunday morning for my NFL contenders for Sunday Night Football.